the guy who I went on a date recently, and then we had the good first date, and then the second date, and then we were about to go on the third date, and then I was like, oh yeah, exit stage
Wait,
left.
can you tell them about that time when he invited you to the movie brunch and then they're watching Baby Boy?
Oh my gosh.
Wait, was it not Baby Boy? What's it?
No, it was the
The
best
Best
man.
Man.
The best
Yes.
man. Okay. So, he's like, "Hey, I want to we should do something fun this next weekend." I said, oh, "Okay, what are you thinking?" He's like, "They're actually doing like this throwback movie series at this movie theater in Brooklyn. They're showing The Best Man. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Is he joking with me? Does he know that I'm like actually in this movie?" Like, I wasn't a major role, but I did have a small speaking role. It was my first film that I became SAG on, my first professional acting role. I played the dancer in the bachelor party with the Indian costume on. And yeah, I was giving it to you. But anyway, he was like, "I haven't seen it in so long, and I would love for you to join me. They serve food and everything. Tables, they have
All the
tableside
things you
service."
need.
I was like, "All right, cool. I'll see you. We'll do brunch there." He's like, "I said, good, great." We go to the brunch. We're sitting in the movie theater. My scene comes on, and then he's like, "That's you." I was like, "Yeah." And I just started cracking up laughing, and I'm saying my lines with the movie screen. And then I asked him when it was over, I was like, "Did you know I was in that movie?" He was like, "I had no clue." He was like, I remembered that I always thought that the dancers from the bachelor party were beautiful. He was like, "But I didn't realize it was you." And I could tell he didn't when I looked at his face. I mean, when he turned and was like, "Wait a minute, that's you." He was genuinely surprised. So yeah, and then like a few days later, he was like, "Oh, I realized I've had bad experiences dating actresses, so maybe we shouldn't date."
That was crazy. Like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. And we were supposed to go on our third date. It
He was consistent. He was being like on
consistent. He
point.
planned amazing dates.
Wait, he did have a problem though.
Yeah, but I don't want people to.
Okay.
Yeah, he also like was talking, and he said he dealt with some issues, some personal health issues. Yeah, mental health issues. So I was just like, okay. Yeah, I was like, so I don't want to date anyone who has a bias about my occupation. And you also said you felt like you're not really in the right frame to date. You need a dating break. So yeah, I'm gonna wish you best on your journey.
But all of his dating profile pictures had actresses in it. Exactly.
Yeah. So, that was that. I did like him. I thought he was nice. He seemed to be, I mean, he was such a gentleman. Um, like I felt like I could definitely rest in my feminine. I mean, like I said, he was a gentleman. He had a good job. He's nice and tall, nice build, nice dresser. Like,
All the things checked.
yeah, checks. But once that came up, I was like, yes, no, I'm good. But that was crazy. When you put it together, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
They kind of came at the same
we
time.
live in a world where people deal with all types of stuff. So I've dealt with people who've, you know, had certain disorders or stuff. So yeah, you have to be patient. But it was more like for me, I have to date someone who understands my job and what I do and respects it. And I just didn't want to date someone who had a bias about it or held resentment.
Right.
Because then you're gonna constantly be comparing me to them other chicks, and I don't got time for that at all.
Can't compare lyrics.
Yeah, I'm a one of a kind. What can I say?
Who's about your age?
No, he was about my age. I think maybe a year or two older. Yeah. So I was like, oh, great. Like, found a guy like close to my age, great. And then I was like, oh no. Yeah. So, you know,
You did try though.
I
You did a great
did.
job.
I did.
You did I always say it's your graduation that you're working through when you're dating people. You
Mhm.
have to graduate. So you graduated. You gave him a chance. You were open-minded.
Mhm.
You know, like you went out. You looked super cute when you went out.
Thank
You were
you.
being soft and
Mhm.
caring,
Mhm.
and you even had a conversation with him after the fact.
I did. I did. Cuz he said once he realized I was an actress, he wanted to ghost me. So that was interesting. I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah. Um but he said he also realized he had bad experiences with women of other occupations as well. So he's like, well, I shouldn't hold that. I shouldn't be like, oh, I can't date an actress because I've also had issues with lawyers. I've had issues with assistants.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, good point. You know? Okay. What do you think is the hardest guy to date versus the easiest guy to date?
I think a motherfucking liar is the hardest person to date. Um, but the one that you don't know is a liar, and they've gotten you all wrapped up in their lies, and then now
Mm.
you're in there,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're dating them, but you're kind of conflicted. You're like, sometimes you're telling the truth, and then you're lying, but then like it feels good, and then and then the hardest person, and then they have good.
Okay, yeah.
That's hard,
That would be hard.
very hard.
But do you think it's because they lie to you and you believe it, it makes you not trust yourself?
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, because I thought I could see a liar. I thought you didn't smell like one. You didn't
Mhm.
take, 4 months maybe,
Mhm.
but then now you feel like now you realize that there's this vault of lies.
Mhm.
Now you're going back from the 4 months or however much
Mm.
time, and you're like, okay, so when we sat at the bench, was that part a lie?
Mhm.
When we went over here on this trip, where did you lie? Because you didn't just start this lie
Right.
thing. You just been like slow dripping the poison.
Ooh.
And now I've
Slow
just,
dripping the poison. I
yes.
gotta sip on that, y'all.
And now it's here. And so instead of like aborting mission, now you kind of want to understand it better or you want to fix it.
Mhm.
A man that you have to fix or that you want to fix is a hard person to date
Mhm.
because you want to conquer that.
Mhm.
It's not easy.
I would definitely say that's a good one. The ones that you feel like you want to fix. Like no.
Yeah. But then you're convinced that you can because perhaps you've given them sound advice and you're just like, yeah, you kind of feel like a superhero.
Mhm.
And then they don't got no wings.
So what would be the easiest
For me,
for you?
the easiest what? Explain the question
Easiest
again, Alex.
easiest type of guy to date.
I don't know the easiest. The easiest would be obviously somebody who's all into you and has a lot of money. It makes things easy.
I can co-sign that.
That's an easy person to date,
Uh-huh.
Like, sure, I'll go on your yacht.
Mhm.
Sure, like, thanks for the flowers they got delivered.
Mhm.
Like, that's, oh my gosh, like, and he smells good
Mhm.
and he looks good.
Mhm.
And, you know, um, I think that's kind of easy person to date, but like, and realistically, like, an easy person to date would be somebody that would be your friend
Mhm.
that you're like,
I agree with that.
you're my friend.
I
Like,
was going
we
to
just
say
are
something
hanging out.
similar to
Like,
that.
I like hanging out like two adult dogs, buddies. Just kind of like someone that's just like your teammate, and that you don't really. Yes, you have sex and you have intimacy, but it's your friend.
Yeah, and that's usually your friend is your person that you feel most comfortable that you could be authentically yourself with.
Right.
So I definitely would say, because I was going to say something like that person you feel like, you know, if they have a judgment, it doesn't come at you all crazy. Like You're able to talk to them. You're able to be your authentic self, and they could be their authentic self. And that usually happens when it is your friend.
Now, seeing you with your ex person, I understand better how hard it is for you to go out and try to date people, because that person was an obvious, easy person for you to date.
Yes.
And it was easy for him to date you. Like, you guys weren't dating. You guys were just friends,
Yeah.
buddies, partners, teammates. You guys are do la la la. And so that was like effortless. There was no trying with that. It was more so like, what are we going to eat? What do we have to do today? Okay. Like, I got to do this. You got to do that. All right. Have a good day. Have a good day. And then come back.
Right.
That was watching you have a eat that. I was like, okay. Thinking about it, I was like, there's a lot of effort, but there's not effort. You know, like if I want to build a statue or something and it's with all my heart, it's going to take effort. However, I'm doing it in a frequency where it doesn't feel like effort. And I think that's what it was. It's effort because you had to open yourself up, you know, to be like, oh no, we're going to do this or I'm going to try this. And then, I mean, the cats, I think that I could never get that role because I'm an act single and it's not going to be conducive.
It's not going to be
Yeah, I need to know that I'm not single.
Yeah.
Or else I'm finna be hella single.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a. I think instead of acting single, how about we just continue to date intentionally? Like, meaning like, let me still date you. Let me still court you, even though I know we're together. Let me still set up dates. Let me still do sweet things for you. Let me care for you. I think good love is and good companionship is literally trying to say, how can I show up and be there for this person? How can I accept them, love them, and make their day a little bit easier? Truthfully, that's what I think it is. Because when you kind of put someone's feelings, first, of course with yours, but put their feelings first, you're putting them in consideration and you tend to do thoughtful things for them. You keep them in mind and you just want somebody who constantly wants to keep putting you in mind. Keep, spending great time with you. Keep giving you sweet kisses on your forehead. Hold your hand. Leave your little love note.
Who does? No, we don't. We like the mushy gushy ones.
I'm very mushy gushy, so.
Yes, do all of that. I want pick me a flower if you walked here from the sidewalk.
Oh,
yes. Absolutely.
I'm really simple. I'm much more simple than I think
people
think. I think people, because of my occupation and what I've accomplished in my career, they think like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this for her and I'm gonna have to do that. And I'm like, who said that? Like Portia, who said that? I didn't say that.
No, you're actually really basically simple. Like basic simplicity, clean, like picnic. You like the thoughtfulness. It goes a long way. And I think that men think that with you or with other model type of women, industry women, they need a lot. But I think it's the opposite because you get invited to the bombest parties. You get all of this free swag. You could come up with a whole bunch of stuff. You get the dinners and all of that stuff that people are just throwing out on you. And for somebody to say, like you said, hear that you like the sandwich at this place. Oh my gosh, there's this place I never get a chance to go. Or when they get your sandwich and you're just like, I like chips with my sandwich because this is what I like. And then they do that. Then you're like, oh, out of 1,015 bajillion people, you listened to me when I was crossing the street going to my car and you remembered it and you like logged it. And then now you're replaying it in my face. And now that's so fucking thoughtful.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, I saved my money, all my money. You have all the money. Like, yes, a man can have his money, but you get men that push their money and they don't have thoughtfulness.
Yes.
And then you have the broke men usually are very, very thoughtful.
But then some of them don't have the money.
Super fucking broke. Yeah. But at the same time, that kind of balances it out because it's like, okay, what are you working on? Are you an artist?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a musician? Like, what is your craft that you're
Mhm.
molding right now? Because I could get behind that,
Right.
knowing that, of course, you have $0 or you're putting all your dollars into your craft.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you're not going to take me to Mr. C's right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, you have listened to what I said.
Mm-hmm.
We're going on these beautiful bike rides. You're super intentional. You're
Mm-hmm.
consistent. You care about me and you do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you did bring me a bouquet of flowers, or you were there at my birthday,
Mm-hmm.
or these different things. I feel like they go a long way with you.
Yeah. I've said to you in some of our heart to heart conversations, some men, all they have is their money. They don't have emotional intelligence. They don't have thoughtfulness. They don't have true romance. They don't
They're not kind.
know.
Some men
Some
that
aren't.
have like buku bucks.
Some, not all.
Yeah, some.
That's why I said some men, all they have is their money. Some men
And they
only
lead with that money.
they only lead with their money. And I'm the person that if you are talking sideways or condescendingly to the waiter or the taxi driver, it makes my vagina dry. Like I'm like, ooh, yuck, ugh, nah. Like,
Ew.
ew.
Yeah.
You know what? And I think I've done this with a couple exes. I think it would be wise, and this goes for men and for women, to sometimes if you break up with somebody, but somehow you still have some type of rapport with them,
Do an exit review.
do an exit review. What's something that I need to work on, or what was I great at? And really, if you can really have some real self discovery and practice some self awareness and really look at how you handled that person and what you really feel you could have done better.
Sometimes it's not you.
Sometimes it's them. Sometimes it's the other person you're dating. It's not even about you.
So, what do you think should be done after a breakup?
Truthfully, I think I know this is going to sound crazy to some people. You should do like an exit review. Like I've literally at times asked some of my exes, what did I do great? What could I have done better? But it takes a certain level of humility to do that, and really being okay hearing some criticism, And sometimes you find out sometimes they'll say, you were great. It wasn't even about you. It was me. It was bad timing for me, or I'm just not in the right headspace. Or, like you never know, but you're not going to know unless you ask.
Right.
And also, I think in breakups or endings, rather, we need to practice a certain level of self-awareness where we really look deep at ourselves and the situation, the relationship, whatever it was, and say, what was it? How did it start? How did it end? What was I like going through this? What could I have worked on? Because a lot of the answers we know, it's just whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish a man would try to say he wanted more cuddles. That wasn't what he was missing.
Well, if your partner says something that you could have done and you realize you couldn't do that, you have to also accept that you just didn't have the capacity to do that. And then look at why you weren't able to do that.
Right.
And is this something that is just, it goes against your code of conduct for yourself? Is it something that you realize you have a block about and that maybe you need to go sit and talk to the lady? You have to really figure out what it is that can maybe change that. And you have to ask yourself, is this something that you want to do?
Or
what they were asking
with
for.
that person.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not the person I want to do that with.
That's true too. Ooh, boop.
That's not
and
it.
And a bloop.
Yeah. It's just not you.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody that you're going to go wake up and make them a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not him.
That's true.
Like, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you have to but I think that if that's the case, then I look at myself like, well, why did I keep him around that long then if he wasn't him?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not going to get up and make him a
But
sandwich.
See, that's at least you're having this self-awareness to ask yourself that question.
Right.
Because then that's going to say, okay, I was keeping them around for such and such reason. Okay, well, what's the root of that? And how can I fix or work on that?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's definitely a thing where you have to look inside, but it seems like women, we're the ones always looking inside
mhm.
and analyzing ourselves and coming across these like situations, you know what I mean? It seems that way because you come across men who they don't do an exit review. It's just like, it's given like, all right, bye.
Next.
Right.
Mhm.
Or maybe not next, and maybe they're butthurt about it. They're not going to go see the lady. They don't want to talk to no lady, especially she better not be white. And she better not think that she knows more than he does.
And when we say the lady, we talking about the
A therapist.
therapist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, like, who's doing that?
Mhm.
Men are not doing that.
Well, some men
are
are
not
doing not
Correct.
enough are. And that has been one of the issues too, because I do know, especially with women, a lot of women are going to therapy, but then we're going back out to a dating pool of men who are not going to therapy
nothing.
as well. So then you're kind of sometimes dealing with these guys who have these traumas or issues, which then affect certain emotional
Mhm.
issues within you really having a great dating situation. So,
And that's where Miss Save a Ho comes into play. Now we're doing therapy with a man who don't want to pay for it. We're the one doing it because we're just like, oh, you have triggers. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Now you're over here calming Tyrone, and it's just like,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah,
we don't. I don't have
that's
to
not,
care.
and that's not, and it's not your job to do. A
No,
lot of times, I think women take on a lot of emotional labor in relationships that is actually not their responsibility.
not your
Some things,
portion.
yeah, it's not your portion. It's something that they really need to go speak to the lady and a really good homeboy who has wisdom and clarity and good character about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like the good homeboy part
Mm-hmm.
because a good homeboy will help you anchored in understanding that you know what, there are great men.
Mm-hmm.
This man wasn't him.
Mm-hmm.
Why was I with him?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're getting treated well by a good homeboy. I
Mm-hmm.
think all women should have a good homeboy.